He tried. You know he tried. With all the strength he had, and even with the strength he didn't have, he tried to distance himself from you, like someone trying to save themselves from a chasm. But the more he distanced himself, the more he thought of you, the more you came back, the more you grew, and the more he realized it wasn't just longing. It was something that named him inside, even when he pretended he didn't feel it, even when he turned away, clenched his fists, and told himself, no, this isn't mine anymore. But it is. It always was. And it still is. There's something in you that never left him, and he's tried to tear it out, with harsh words, with long silences, with distractions, with pride, with denial. But nothing has defeated what he feels when you come back to his mind. You don't even need to speak. Sometimes just the memory of your way is enough to turn everything upside down. It's as if something pulls him back, an invisible thread he doesn't know how to cut, a presence that, even when absent, still breathes nearby, an echo of what you both didn't finish living. And he realizes, even when he tries to deny it, he realizes, the absence weighs heavy and the silence hurts. You became a scar, but one of those he doesn't want to hide, because it still pulses, it still burns, it still calls. He caught himself thinking about you again, unintentionally, unplanned. It just came to him, as it always does, on some random night, with street noise, with the scent of clothes, with a song playing without asking for permission. And then he remembered what he promised to forget. He remembered what made him laugh with you, what he felt by your side, what he held back because he thought it was too early or too late. But the truth is, time was never the problem. It was fear. Fear of feeling everything again and getting lost. Fear of recognizing too much of himself in you. Fear of realizing he was diving too deep, with no way back. And so he fled, like someone trying to save themselves from a love that had already saved him. But it didn't work, because true love doesn't shout. It whispers. And it remains there even when everything else goes silent. There are times when he wonders if you still think about him too, if the nights are empty, only on his side, or on both sides, if the space you left behind is still yours, or if someone else has taken it. But deep down he knows, no one has filled it, because no one is you, and he realizes this more clearly every day. On the outside he goes on with life, but on the inside he keeps going back to that place where only the two of you fit, and maybe you feel it too, that place no one else touches, that frequency where only you two can hear each other. If this has ever happened to you, comment, I needed to hear this, because there are some people we try to forget, but the heart refuses, because it knows there are roots there. There's truth there, there's a story that hasn't been fully told yet, and even when he convinces himself that he has moved on, you come back, in a thought, in a dream, in an unexpected shiver. You don't need to be nearby for him to feel your presence. It lingers in him. It's in the gestures he repeats without realizing. It's in the places he avoids passing by. It's in the way he learned to love and after you. And sometimes he wonders, why do you still affect him so much? Why hasn't time resolved what he felt for you? Why, even when trying to move on, does he still look back? The answer is simple. You left a mark, one that cannot be erased, with a love that didn't ask for permission. It just entered and stayed. He won't admit it out loud, but deep down, he wants to know how you are, if you miss him too, if you still hold on to any hidden memories. He remembers your voice, the way you looked at him when everything was peaceful, the comfortable silence between you, the conversations that felt eternal even though they lasted only minutes. He still carries that. And it's not attachment, it's not neediness, it's just the realization that some people don't fade away. They stay, even when they're no longer there. He wanted to leave, but he took himself with him, and now he doesn't know how to live without pieces of you inside him. That's the part that hurts the most, because he thought distancing himself would solve everything, but it only made things messier. Realizing this isn't weakness, it's maturity. It's the beginning of a greater courage, the courage to admit that certain feelings don't die, they just transform, and they come back when you least expect it. You've become this blind spot in his heart, something he avoids looking at, yet it guides him without him realizing, something that screams even when everything around is silent, and he feels it. In the midst of his routine, at the end of an afternoon, when he lays his head on the pillow, and he realizes that the only place he wants to be is with you, but he doesn't speak, doesn't write, doesn't reach out. out of fear of appearing weak, out of fear of not being reciprocated, out of pride. But inside he's still waiting, waiting for a sign, waiting for a reunion, waiting for time to somehow bring you back. Because what you shared wasn't ordinary. It was rare, it was intense, it was visceral. And even if the world tells him to move on, there's something inside him that still screams your name. Have you ever experienced something like this? Tell me in the comments. Because the hardest part isn't losing someone. It's losing what only existed with that person. It's realizing that no matter how hard you try, you can't replicate the connection. You can't feel the same, you can't love the same. And that's what he feels. That with you it was different. That with you he felt whole, seen, chosen, recognized. And now, even far away, you remain the standard, the benchmark, the point of comparison. He tries to open up again, but he realizes that his heart is still elsewhere. It's still where you left it, and maybe he'll never say this to you. Maybe he'd rather keep it inside. Maybe he'll choose silence, but the truth is he still holds on to everything, not as a burden, but as a reference of what was real. Because when something is truly intense, it doesn't become the past. It becomes part of you. You weren't just a story, it was a transformation. And he realizes this every time he tries to open up to someone new and can't, because his body might go along, but his soul is still waiting for something that only you used to provide. And maybe you never noticed this. Or perhaps you felt the same way but couldn't explain it. Because some connections go beyond the obvious. They are born from shared silences. From glances that understand each other. From hands that fit together effortlessly. And that's what he felt with you. He tried to find that feeling in other faces, other touches, other conversations. But nothing had that subtle glow. That calmness you brought without needing to say anything. You were like a safe place in a world that's constantly at war. And he didn't realize this right away. He started to notice little by little after he tried living away, after he tried to convince himself that it was all exaggeration, neediness, illusion. But it wasn't. It was real. It was visceral. It was a soul recognizing a soul. And now that he feels your absence so deeply and he wonders, did you also notice all of this? Or was it just him feeling so profoundly? There are moments when he closes his eyes and still feels the touch of your hand. And it's not about romanticizing the past. It's about feeling that not everything has ended, that some connections remain alive even after everything is over. Because the truth is, not always is the end. Sometimes it's just a pause, a necessary silence, a time for both to realize what, in the rush, they couldn't see. And he has been noticing, slowly in the rhythm of longing, in the emptiness that no one else has filled, in the memory of simple things, like the way you used to say his name. He thought it would be enough to stay physically away to forget you. But he realized that when souls connect, distance doesn't break bonds. It simply changes the way of feeling. Now you live in the details, in the way he misses talking to someone who truly listens to him, in the need to look at someone and not have to explain himself, in the desire to return to being who he was by your side, lighter, more sincere, more whole, because you made him feel that way, whole. He misses even the things you have yet to experience together, the interrupted plans, the promised kisses, the days that never came. And that, perhaps, is what hurts the most. The awareness that what you had still had room to grow. There was still time to bloom. But fear interrupted it before its time. He feels that. Even when he doesn't want to admit it, even when he pretends he has forgotten. Because there are days when the pain comes unannounced. Days when he finds himself thinking about you in the middle of a meeting or during any ordinary walk. Days when he dreams of you and wakes up with a tight chest, trying to understand why it still hurts so much. But the answer is always the same. Because it still matters. Because it still beats, because it still lives. And no, he doesn't idealize you. He knows the flaws, the misunderstandings, the difficult parts. But even that made sense with you. Even in the pain, he saw learning. Even in the conflicts, he felt truth. And now, he misses even that, the authenticity, the good discomfort of being challenged to grow, of having someone who saw him beyond the surface because you saw. And he knows that. You saw him like no one else did. And he also saw in you a light that the world didn't always notice. You were home, and he left trying to find shelter in other places, but nothing embraced him the same way. That's why he thinks. That's why he feels. That's why he returns, even if he doesn't truly come back. He realizes that you continue to be that part of him that still breathes deeply when everything gets tight. the memory that makes him smile amidst the chaos, the voice he hears in silence when everything seems meaningless. And no, he doesn't want to live trapped in the past, but he also doesn't want to lie to himself, pretending that it was just another story. You were not just anyone, you were the exception to the rule, the right deviation on the wrong path, the miracle disguised as a meeting. He recognizes that now, and maybe you'll never hear this from him. Maybe he'll never say it. Maybe he'll remain silent, but his eyes, oh, his eyes still scream your name in the early hours of the morning. They still look for you in places you are not. They still shine when someone mentions something that reminds him of you, and that's when he realizes you are still in everything. In what he chooses, in what he avoids, in what he dreams, you are the memory that became a standard, the love that became a measure, the absence that became a presence. And there's something he still doesn't fully understand, but he feels it, like a calling, like an echo, like something that still needs to be lived. Do you feel it too? If this resonates with you so far, comment, "It feels like someone wrote what I feel," because there are loves that are mere passages. But then there are others that are portals, portals to who we truly are, and you were that portal for him. You reminded him of who he could be. You pulled him out of shells he didn't even know he carried. You touched parts of him that no one else ever touched. And now he wanders around trying to reconnect with that piece of his soul, but everything still points to you. He thought time would heal, but time only revealed the depth, revealed the absence, revealed the truth. And the truth is this: he still feels, he still remembers, he still wants, even if he stays quiet, even if he denies it, even if he moves on. Because it's not easy to move on when the heart is still stuck in a moment that hasn't ended, in a love that hasn't died, in a gaze that still calls, and you call, even from afar, even in silence, even from a distance. There's a part of him that still believes you will come back, and maybe he doesn't even know what he would do if you returned, but he waits, with his heart hidden behind pride, with longing concealed in unspoken words, with hope whispering in the depths of his soul. Because no matter how much life goes on, there are stories that never end. They just change form. They only quiet down for a while. They wait for the right moment to begin anew. And maybe that moment is still to come, and he feels it more intensely every day, as if there were a time meant just for the two of you. A time that hasn't finished yet. It has merely hidden itself behind the days that followed. His heart learned to survive without you, but it hasn't learned to live with the absence of what you both were together. Because there are things the body forgets, but the soul doesn't. The soul recognizes, the soul calls, the soul keeps, and his still keeps you. He has been walking around like someone trying to seem whole, but only those who have been complete know what it feels like to be half. And that's what he feels, even in silence. You have become the absence that speaks the loudest, the emptiness filled with meaning, the distance that feels the closest. And when he allows himself to stop, when the world slows down, it's you who returns. It's your name that hangs in the air, even when it's not spoken. It's your invisible presence that wraps around him when no one else is watching. He doesn't tell anyone, because no one would understand, because he doesn't even fully understand. He just feels. He feels you in small things, in a scent, in a late afternoon light, in a random phrase spoken by someone who has no idea what they're awakening in him, and everything comes rushing back. What you were, what you could have been, what you still can be. Because yes, a part of him still believes that certain connections aren't by chance. They don't happen by accident. They don't appear just to pass. You were a meeting. And he knows that. He knows even when he tries to forget, even when he says he's moved on, even when he smiles at other gazes. You remain the silence after the party, the name he doesn't speak but feels, the memory he doesn't search for but finds. And that says everything. It says that there's still a story pulsing between you, even if buried under pride, under hurt, under fear, but still there. He sometimes wonders if there's still a place for him in his world, if there's still an us in some dimension, even if it's distant. Because deep down, he doesn't want to close that door. Not because he can't, but because he doesn't want to, because something inside him is still waiting. And it's not a blind hope, it's perception. Perception that what you both live doesn't dissolve over time. It transforms, it hides, but it doesn't die. And maybe, just maybe, it's waiting for the right moment to be reborn. This conversation doesn't end here. If this resonated with you, the next video will turn your world inside out. Click now and continue with me. There's something you need to realize before moving forward.